Howdy folks, it's Sean. I'm back again with yet another package. By way of explanation, for one part of the explanation, uh, I discovered partially by random chance that because the 3D secure credit card authentication algorithm changed to version 2, it is now it's in more widespread use among American credit cards. So I, through experimentation, discovered that Mandarake will now accept my MasterCard. So I don't have to go through PayPal any longer, which means that now I'm able once again to purchase the complete range of products available from Mandarake. Previously, when I had to pay through PayPal, I was not able to buy any adult merchandise or any hentai merchandise. And also, depending on the particular Mandarake warehouse, I was also frequently unable to purchase any doujinshi items, regardless of whether they were all ages friendly or adult. However, now that my current credit card is accepted by Mandarake, I'm able to make a more robust order. Now, this is actually not necessarily a more robust order, it's actually a smaller order, but this one was in part an experiment to see if purchasing previously prohibited goods with certain payment methods would go through. Now, on the second, I also discovered that sometime within the past year, Mandarake updated its policy and now requests that people internationally, especially, receiving packages open the package on camera. Apparently, Mandarake has been doing this for a couple months now, and I didn't notice that new stipulation until very recently. But in order to protect against claims, uh, in order to protect against fraud and claims of damage when there was no damage, Mandarake now expects to see packages opened on camera so that any damaged items or items that are not as described are documented on film. So this particular package, hopefully we can clarify, is sealed as it was delivered to me. So I will, as is my habit and is necessary, open this package with a more practical box cutting device, and I will share what's in here. Now, for introductory explanation, I forgot how many items are in this package. Not a whole lot. There's probably something like a dozen items, somewhere around there. The total cost on this shipment was, hold on a sec. Total cost on this shipment was 7,400 yen, which is in US dollars currently about almost exactly 50 US dollars. So everything in here cost about 50 US. The shipping cost via DHL Express, which got here in under a week, from the time I paid till the time it was on my doorstep, under a week, was 9,300 yen, which is actually about $62.50. So yes, it did cost more to ship this than the items in the package actually cost. But the entire cost of this order, having it, the items and the delivery, came up to about 112 US dollars. So let me show you what is in here. First, I'll get rid of some of the styrofoam packing. And I see that Mandarake actually packaged every single item in separate bubble wrapping, which I'm surprised. They usually don't do that, but that may partially be because some of these items are glassware. Let's see if I can get these open. my cameraman, who prefers to stay behind the scenes, discovered that Mandarake does, in addition to carrying anime and idol goods, also carry vintage, nostalgic Japanese culture items. So we discovered that there were a pair. It was a trio, but one of them was sold out. So a pair of vintage Japanese drinking glasses from the 1970 Tokyo World Fair in Osaka. So this was also known as Osaka Expo 70. Now, I don't know for certain at this point if he will be entirely satisfied with their size, because we have discovered that Japanese glass sizes tend to be a little bit smaller than what we Americans are used to. But in terms of vintage cultural nostalgia, hopefully you can tell that these are quite attractive looking glasses with very traditional Japanese woodcut style illustrations on them. And both of them do, on the reverse side, have the Expo 70 logo on them. So in terms of retro design and also the neatness factor of them being very traditional Japanese, I think these are pretty darn neat. So we will leave those here and hopefully not do any damage. As in, hopefully we're not going to knock them over or anything of that sort. Now, if you'll bear with me, the time it takes to open, because everything got packaged separately. This particular 1998 issue of Shonen Jump magazine contains the full first appearance of Dracula Mihawk from One Piece. Because the live-action One Piece was recently a success and Mihawk turned out to be one of the breakout fan-favorite characters, I was struck by the idea to take a look and see if his first appearance is available. And to my great surprise, I found out it was at the time not only available, but available super cheap. This magazine, now if you are unfamiliar with the One Piece manga, and I had to look this up, strictly speaking, the chapter with the first appearance of Mihawk is a tiny, tiny little black dot, vaguely in the shape of a human being. So as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't really count as a true first appearance. So this is the following chapter in which he is introduced by name. We get to see his face. We get to see what he looks like. He speaks. So I would consider this to be the true first appearance of Mihawk. This particular magazine was 600 yen. So in US dollars, just slightly over $5. Now, I do see that it does have a bit of spine roll. That may or may not be fixable if I manage to put it underneath some very heavy objects, maybe put a layer of wood on top of it and then put some bricks on top of it. Perhaps I might be able to press the spine roll out of it. But regardless, I think it's a neat item to have, especially at the very affordable price. Now, because there was an experiment here on purchasing some adult goods, actually, maybe I should censor more of. Let's see. Oops. All right. Well, hopefully I can get away with this. I did pick up this particular doujinshi. Clearly, as you can see, it's Chun-Li and Mai Shiranui. I believe this is a volume 2. However, this was only 200 yen. so it was only about $1.75. So I dig both characters. I thought this looked like an interesting book. I wanted to experiment with buying some H material to see if the payment would go through. So this is one of the items that I picked up. Let's see. What? Okay, interesting. All right. This is another H doujinshi. I know, practically speaking, nothing about this particular book. However, it highly amused me that the cover and possibly even the content is a parody combination of Black Lagoon and Meisan Ikoku. So I thought that contrast between a rather relatively violent and action-oriented crime thriller and a very domestic romantic comedy was a interesting parody hybridization. Moreover, this book was only 200 yen, so it was super, super cheap. So I'm eager to have this because, if nothing else, the cover alone to me is worth the dollar and change that this cost me before shipping. I did not know that this doujinshi included. No, forgive me. That's the back cover. Disregard what I just mentioned. This is the front cover. I know very little about this particular doujinshi. The sample pages that were pictured in Mandarake made it look like this is a collection of illustrations rather than a sequential comic story. However, it just simply looked very attractive to me. At 400 yen, I decided I would take my chances on this. It is referred to as a copy illustration bong, so I do imagine this probably is pinup style illustrations. I am almost 100% certain that this is a duplicate copy for my collection. This, as you can hopefully tell, is a Dirty Pair Flash doujinshi. The reason why I bought this one is because it was only 200 yen. It was just so cheap, and it was available that I decided I would just throw it in the order anyway. I am, as I mentioned, almost definite that I already own one copy of this in my collection. I own the second volume of this doujinshi, of this 2-volume doujinshi series by Handsome Aniki. I've been eager to acquire the first half of the story now for quite some time, but due to payment restrictions on Mandarake, I've been unable to purchase it. Now that I finally could buy volume 1, this one was 600 yen, so I'm happy to finally have both volumes of this particular doujinshi story. I've mentioned, if you watch any of my routine Mandarake videos, I've mentioned that I enjoy opening these packages, partially for the curiosity of seeing in person, face-to-face, exactly what some of these items are, because sometimes sizes are different than what I anticipated. Case in point, I expected this copy of Kia Asamiya's Batman Child of Dreams to be tankobon sized. However, clearly it is not. It is full American comic sized. Now, I don't know what the interior is exactly. In other words, I don't know if this one is Japanese language or English language or if it's bilingual. However, I suspect this is probably a Japanese language version. This was created, if I'm correct, this was created initially for American release. This was written and drawn by Kia Asamiya, the creator of Steam Detectives, the creator of Silent Mobius. This particular book was 500 yen, so it was cheap enough that I just thought it would be interesting to have a copy of the Japanese edition. So that's why I picked this up for my own collection. I do not think I have a Irresponsible Captain Tyler Shikijiki in my collection. They don't seem to come up for sale all that frequently. This one was 500 yen, so given its age, I don't think the price is unreasonable. I happen to like this design, so I decided I would pick up one because there just simply aren't, in my experience, too many pieces of merchandise from Irresponsible Captain Tyler. I do not know for certain if I have the theatrical movie program for the 86 movie iCity. This was 400 yen. So I decided, well, it might be a duplicate because, to be honest, I'm lazy and I didn't want to spend the time digging through my collection to see if I already have a copy. For a little over $3, I decided, well, I'll just buy one, and if it happens to be a duplicate, then that's perfectly fine. But hopefully hopefully I guess this is not a duplicate. But likewise, I've never come across merchandise for iCity. I barely remember the movie because I watched it 25 years ago. But it's an interesting part of early 80s anime history, and this was really affordable, so I decided I would pick this up. This copy of AnimeNation magazine is the first appearance of Satoshi Kon's Seraphim manga. This particular issue seems to come and go out of stock in Mandarake fairly often, but fortunately, at the time I was making this order, a copy did happen to very recently come back into stock. This was 800 yen. That's a little bit more expensive than typical for most monthly anime magazines. However, this one does have the significant prominence of being the first appearance of a manga series by the late Satoshi Kon. So, for personal collection, I decided because this was relatively inexpensive, I wanted to pick up a copy. There is one more item in this order, but for reasons that will remain unstated, I'm going to keep that one private for at least the moment. So that's what's... Actually, sorry, I apologize. There is one more item as well. This one will not display very effectively. This is a supposedly life-sized wall scroll. It's referred to as a tapestry. To be honest, it's a little bit wider across than I anticipated because my intention was to hang this on the back side of my bedroom door. So on the rare occasions when I close my door, I would see it. However, that will probably still fit across the back of my bedroom door. But this is, I believe this is an original doujinshi girl. I don't remember what the cost on this was, but I believe, I think it was 800 yen. I know that it was fairly cheap. So yeah, I decided, typically I find that you can throw one item of this size, poster or tapestry. Typically you can throw one item of this size into a Mandarake order without drastically increasing the shipping. Typically if you include more than one, then the shipping jumps up significantly. But that's what's in the most recent order. Some of you may be aware that I am not particularly adept or extensive on social media, so should you want to contact me for any reason, please feel free. I'm always happy to talk to fellow otaku. And I hope that if you're still watching, this video has brought you some small degree of entertainment, because I will not ask you for any reactions or response, or certainly not any donations. I don't make any money off this. I just record these videos, one, because of Mandarake shipment requirements, and number two, because I hope that this provides some entertainment to my fellow anime fans. So that's all I've got to address today. I hope I'll see you and talk to you again next time.